Very few spaces are capable of capturing the imagination like a treehouse. And today we've traveled to the redwoods here in California to find one very special treehouse that has an almost otherworldly feel. Hey Dustin!
Hey!
Great to meet you, mate.
Good to meet you.
Dude, this is something truly amazing that you have built here.
Thank you so much.
I have never seen a treehouse that looks even remotely like this before. Can you tell me what inspired its design?
Well, I was actually commissioned to do this project by a company, and they're going to include it in a commercial. And they came with very loose requirements. They were looking for something that was going to be crystal clear, crystalline, and hanging in the tree. And I was interested in geometries and shapes that had a little bit more intrigue to them, a little bit more complexity. And parametric design is something that, with advanced modeling tools and technologies that have come out, has become something that many are exploring. And what that means is it's a shape or a geometry that kind of fluidly changes. And you see that in nature all over the place. And so I chose a shape called a zome, which is the underlying geometry of the Pinecone treehouse. And then we created these windows that do morph in shape. And so that's what really gives it the pinecone appearance. And that's also what happens in a pinecone. You have those petals of the pinecone that start very small at the top, then grow out and kind of have that spiraling patterning as you go through it, and there it is. We built it.
I love the geometry behind it, and I think one of the coolest things about its design is that it simultaneously absolutely looks perfectly at home here in the redwoods and nature, but at the same time, it looks like it's some kind of spaceship. It looks like it's come from the future.
Yeah, totally. I always, from the beginning, back in 2006, when I started building tree houses, I would always tell the story to people so that they could really visualize it. I would always say, a 50-foot diameter geodesic sphere floating up in the redwoods, and then like rope bridges coming to it, and this whole like kind of Ewok, base idea. And it's just like this kind of abstract idea and this like spectacular, elven kind of Lord of the Rings kind of fantasy type of idea. And the function of the space is for it to be some kind of spiritual experience, to have it be a temple or a sanctuary space that displays nature as a gallery. Nature is the art in the gallery. That's something that I was attempting to achieve with this structure.
And so tell me a little bit about the engineering behind this and how it is actually suspended up there.
It's suspended from 8 points on the structure, and there's a steel superstructure that's all bolted together. That's made up of all of these separate, different shaped diamond piece welded assemblies. The creation of that structure on its own was a real beauty of steel construction. And putting together the top piece was definitely one of the most glorious building moments that I've had, because all of these complex pieces coming together with tight tolerances into additional welded bracketry and that kind of thing to make up that super sturdy top rigging point, it was quite difficult. And then from the top of the structure where all those rigging points connect, it goes up and distributes the load into this fairy circle of redwood trees. The next key component of that is, of course, the connection to the tree. And in my company, O2 Treehouse, we developed a special type of connection I call it the treeton. And what it is, it's a T-bar. We plunge cut 2 paths with a chainsaw into the tree, and then we knock this T-bar into the tree. And so that becomes a super stable, super strong rigging point that can withstand, thousands and thousands of pounds of load on it. So the entire structure is 11,500 pounds in total.
That definitely is super involved. When you're talking about the actual attachment to the trees, what kind of impact does the attachment have on the tree?
Yeah, so I get asked that a lot. When you create any sort of entry wound into a tree, whether it's human-made or a deer scratching antlers, what the tree does is it seals additional layers around that entry. It doesn't actually heal like our skin heals, like replacing things. So that wound it's always going to be there. but the tree's just going to continue to grow layers out. And as it's growing the layers, it's actually making that connection, whether it's a bolt or my treeton, it fortifies it and makes it stronger over time.
Well, I definitely cannot wait to get up in the trees and check that out. But you've actually built a bathroom structure to go with this tree house, haven't you?
Yes, we did, yeah.
Okay, well, should we check that out before we climb up?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, after you. Now this is a bathroom with a view, huh?
Right.
I love how you haven't tried to enclose this at all, but just have left both the shower and the toilet completely exposed to that view.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, showering like next to a redwood, totally naked, good stuff.
Absolutely. And you've got the composting toilet here?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have a composting toilet, and the water for the sink and for the shower is actually with a basin that we fill up that's just a little bit higher on the hill. There's no plumbing or any sort of water access or even stream that's close by here. So down at the house on the property, the owner has a rainwater collection system, and so a lot of the water that we get is from that.
And tell me a little bit about how this was constructed, because I can see that it seems to be centered around these 3 trees here.
Yeah, right. So this was actually pretty straightforward treehouse building. We use what's called tabs, tree attachment bolts, and pretty much all of the wood is reclaimed wood. This cedar siding was just in utter shambles and scrap. That's why it's all in different widths here, because we just had to like cut out all the stuff that was splitting and super dry. So we made use of this. I think I got all the cedar for like $30 or something like that. So the redwood of the flooring was completely painted white. So we, got the hand planer out and planed all the wood, and it's this gorgeous like tight grain old redwood that we found, and it just popped when we put an oil on it.
Well, as far as bathrooms go, this is definitely one of the coolest I've ever seen.
Nice.
I love the view, but I think I'm ready to get higher up in the trees.
Cool, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited to go up there.
Let's do it. So the design of this ladder looks really unique. Can you tell me about it?
Oh yeah, I went with this alternating step ladder because I like the way that it looked. I knew it would be such a long span that having something look a little bit less like just super functional ladder, something a little bit different, I felt would, fit the nature of the treehouse.
All right, well, let's give it a try.
Cool.
Test it out. It is actually quite comfortable to climb though, eh?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Oh, this is unbelievable. The views from up here. This is really something special. One of the things that I immediately notice as well is how stable this feels.
Yeah, it wasn't always that way. So we ended up putting some stabilization cables at the bottom of the structure that go horizontally out to some of the trees, and that completely changed the way that it felt up here. I mean, it's way more stable now. You can't really swing it, which you really don't want to.
And here inside the structure, the geometry of it just comes to life in a completely different way, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love it. It's super cool. And I think that the window frames here really add to it. It'd just be a different space without it. It just adds a little bit of detail, a little bit of additional style, architecture to it.
Now, what are the windows made of? Is this glass or acrylic?
Yeah, so the windows, they're all acrylic. They're actually in differing thicknesses. I went with 3/8 plexi on all the operable windows, of course, to make them a bit stronger. And then the rest of the windows in the top and in the bottom are all 3/16 plexi. So it was definitely something I wanted to have it, make sure that was all windows.
And obviously around here I can see lights and you've got some power sockets. How do you get power up here?
So right now we have a circuit coming from the house, which powers both the treehouse and the bathroom.
And I bet this just looks unbelievable when it's all lit up at night.
Oh, it's awesome. It's spectacular. It's one of the things that, I've always wanted to have in my treehouse structures is a bit of that Japanese lantern glow up there, So I'm super happy that this ends up having that same glow.
And this is such a unique structure. I can only imagine what it would have cost to build something like this.
It was up there. I'll say that. It was well over 100,000.
Yeah, I can imagine. And that makes sense just because nothing in here can you buy from Home Depot, right? Like this was all super custom, and the engineering behind this must have been incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all those things are very true. And I actually worked with a couple other partners in the creation of this to help us do the steel work. And yeah, of course the engineers were a part of that. Because it was for a client, their timeline was, I'll just say, it was incredibly unrealistic to build something like this. And so it really put us to the extremes to get it done within that timeline.
So how long did it actually take you to build this then?
I'm gonna have to say like off the record. So nobody asked me to build something like this in that time. It took 33 days from beginning to end.
How long?
33 days.
33 days. You did this in just over a month.
We received the materials and we had 33 days to deliver the structure.
That is crazy.
It was just entirely quite unfair. But I would have done the same thing again because, now look at it. It's built and, 33 days of intense work, why not?
And now the space is complete. You have this as a getaway to enjoy. That must be so special.
It's amazing. It's so much fun, like to bring friends out here and, to bring my wife up here. And I'm super excited. It's just a total dream come true. It's like, I always wanted to build a structure like this, but to like own it is weird, honestly. Yeah, so I'm super grateful. I'm just want it to be almost like a beacon in a way for sustainability and sustainable design.
And, when we're kids, we all dream of living in tree houses one day, but this is like the penthouse version of that, isn't it?
I know, yeah. It's a bit silly, It's like, oh, wow, look at this thing, like floating way up here. What I've reflected on and come to over the years of being a treehouse builder is that the treehouses kind of act as this, they're a bit of a spectacle, They're eye candy. People's eyes light up when they see treehouse. They're really excited. It touches something, from our childhood, quite possibly even something from our roots as humans on this earth. Being up high and like being safe and being in a cozy setting where, nothing can get you on the ground. All these types of thoughts are maybe part of that as well. But I think treehouses do have their purpose of like suggesting this idea that you can actually be held in nature and in a space where nature actually reacts to you, to your whole behavior and everything that's wrapped up into your life, your objects that you own, all of these things. The trees are actually reacting to that. They're holding you up. They're actually building wood and re-engineering themselves with your weight. And I think that idea is super cool because it's entering into a symbiotic relationship.
From the ground, this looked absolutely amazing, and now standing in this beautiful structure looking out among the trees, this place really is something that has totally taken my breath away. Thank you so much for sharing it with me.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
I will always be absolutely infatuated with tree houses. I love the height, I love the sense of adventure that you have in them, and I will always have so much respect for the incredible engineering that goes into making these a reality. This treehouse is absolutely beyond beautiful in every single sense of its construction, and I am standing here right now completely in awe.